The opinions expressed on Goddess of the Nile Radio are expressions for informational and entertainment purposes only and are not intended as a diagnosis, treatment, or a substitute for professional advice. Please consult a professional for your specific needs or concerns. We encourage you to use the topics discussed to generate your own conversation within the community. Should you have any questions or concerns regarding the content of the show, please feel free to use the hashtag GNR or email lovenileradio@gmail.com.
Goddess of the Nile Radio would like to thank our social media sponsors, Dope Curves, Noah's Jungle Bunch, and Chelsea by Chance. Our anonymous sponsor for assisting in making this YouTube live possible. Our small business sponsors, Divine Chakras LLC and Haru Heads. Our artist sponsors, Tanisha Clark and Kenora Berry. Our spiritual supporters, Collective Conscious Minds, Yeshua's Lightworkers, Indigo 11, and Sacred Woman Indigo Circle. And a special thank you to our Patreon members and followers. And to the most important people that make this dream possible, you, our listeners. We are Goddess of the Nile Radio, and we do this for you.
You are now listening to Goddess of the Nile Radio. You are now listening to Goddess of the Nile Radio.
Grand Rising world, Grand Rising, Grand Rising, Grand Rising. It's your girl, Azor Netaru Gaia, live right here on the Win DC Radio app and YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your patience this morning. I'm telling you, I had to raise the vibrations in the universe because there were some outside energies trying to bust through my bubble, and I am not having that, y'all. No, sirree, Bob. You know what? This is a blah, 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 blah. Wait a minute. Excuse me. This is a divine, glorious space. Yes, it is. And here on the Nile, we celebrate love. We celebrate understanding. We celebrate spirituality. We celebrate individuality. And we celebrate you, our listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I know it's Sunday. You know, wipe the sleep out your eyes. Give yourself a good old-fashioned stretch. Hug yourself. Tell yourself, I love you. All of those things matter. All of those things definitely matter. Because if you don't love yourself, how are you going to expect for someone else to love you in return, right? That was a lesson that I had to learn. It took me damn near 40 years to figure it out. So if you don't know that lesson yet, that's what I'm here for, is to teach you exactly how to love yourself and how to protect yourself, right? Well, I had an amazing weekend. I got to speed things along because we're a little late today, and I have tons of information to share with you guys. And, you know, thank you so much for your feedback about last week's show. You know, thank you for sharing that you enjoyed the information that I shared with you guys about television programming and programming through our music and media. And the dangers of watching porn. But I also wanted to share with you guys the dangers of dating during your first year of spiritual awakening. And due to time restrictions, I had to speed through that. So you guys definitely voiced your opinions to me and let me know that you wanted a part 2. So power to the people, give the people what they want. So here, welcome to Love Talk and Spirituality, live right here on the Win DC Radio. We're talking about part 2 of the dangers of dating during your first year of awakening. So I got to get my mind together. I'm all over the place. But let's just recap some things that I talked to you guys about last week. But before I get into that, I have to definitely say that yesterday was my grandfather's, Lewis Mitchell. It was his transition anniversary. So I, of course, dedicate this show and my spiritual movement to my grandfather. So Grandpa, this show's for you. Or for you, wherever you are. But I know you're around me because I have goosebumps. All right, let's get into it. During your spiritual walk, you should begin to learn more about your character defects or what we call shadow work, right? So when you first enter spirituality, the first thing that you're going to want to tackle, during this discovery period, when you're pulling yourself out of the churches, when you're pulling yourself out of religious institutions, or if you're deciding to stay, which is fine, that's perfectly fine, but you want to start doing some other things. You have these gifts and you want to start activating these gifts within you. Well, the very first thing you need to do in order to activate these gifts is you need to start paying attention and focusing on your negative behaviors. You need to start focusing on the things in life that's holding you back. A lot of fears, a lot of, people and places and things that are no longer serving of you, right? You need to focus in on and zoom in on people, places, and things that do not serve you, do not serve your life purpose, do not serve your gifts, right? So once you figure these things out, you also have to begin to look at the reasons why you're finding yourself in these places, the reason why you're finding yourself around these people, and the reasons why you are attracted to these things that are not serving of you, that are not loving of you, because that's exactly what that means. When you have people and places and things in your life that are not serving of you, that means that you aren't loving yourself when you're indulging in these situations or events. So in the very beginning of your spiritual journey and your spiritual walk and your awakening, you are doing a lot of work with yourself and you're creating the best version of yourself. You may still have a lot of character defects that you're learning how to correct, And I listed these before, but if you missed last show's week, I'll repeat them again. A lot of us have abandonment issues, where we have issues with being selfish. We're self-centered, Maybe you have impossible expectations for people. Like people can never mess up. Maybe your kids can never mess up. Your coworkers, your friends, they can never make a mistake. Your lover, your husband, your wife can never make a mistake, can never be late, can never miss that phone call, right? Maybe you have high expectations for places. Maybe you can't meet your girlfriend at a hole-in-the-wall restaurant because, you're just too good for that. And that's perfectly fine, but don't you love your girlfriend? Isn't that like you being selfish or having high expectations? Or maybe you have high expectations for the waitress. Your iced tea has to be like freezing cold, and she just brings it to you a little chilly, and you're all upset, And also one thing about thinking about getting yourself involved in a spiritual relationship, because that's exactly what it is now. It's not a regular old schmegular relationship anymore. It's going to be a spiritual relationship. You never had a spiritual relationship before. So have you done your research on what type of relationship that you want? Do you want an open relationship? And spirituality is spirituality. We make our own rules sometimes. And some people that are very spiritual, they indulge in open relationships. And some people can do that, and I don't knock their hustle. And I'll get into later why most of us can't do this. Zora can't do it. Zora is not into sharing. I'm an empath, and we'll get into that later. But also, do you want to get married? Do you believe in marriage? Do you believe in having children? Do you believe in populating the earth with 24 kids? These are all things that when you're in spirituality that you have to think about as you begin to date. You have to think about the expectations of your partner. Will your partner be a spiritual being? What are your expectations from your partner when it comes to spirituality? Is your partner vegan? Will your partner meditate? Know how to meditate? Will your partner wear her hair covered? Does your partner know how to protect themselves? Those kind of things. When I say do your spiritual relationship research, that's what I'm talking about. You really need to think about what your partner looks like. Is your partner a Christian? and you're no longer a Christian anymore? Or is your partner a Moor and you're a Christian? You know what I mean? Like, those are the things that we have to start thinking about. Okay? Many newly spiritual beings jump into a relationship without building a strong foundation within their spiritual walk. They are still in the healing phase. They may get involved with someone, and if they are hurt by this person, they have to go through a healing phase all over again, when they really should be focusing on their life purpose. This is another thing that we get all screwed up, because we are spiritual beings. Some of us come from these communities where, religion is like the basis of a community that we live in. It's in our family. It's at work. It's all over the place. And we're the only person, right? We're the unicorn in the crowd that has these special gifts. So our world becomes very, very lonely. It becomes very, very small, So sometimes what pushes a majority of us, a majority of spiritual beings into their awakening is a breakup. That's how I began to really, really get into my spiritual awakening, like really began to open my third eye, I was able to heal myself, heal my broken heart through my spirituality. I'm so glad that I had spirituality there to get me through, or I probably would be in shambles right now. Some people find their spirituality through, they get sick and they're looking for holistic ways to heal themselves. So that's how they enter the world of spirituality. So this is usually spirituality for a majority of us is found through some sort of healing. We're healing from something. So we go in and we get our chakras spinning and we do our shadow work and we figure out what our character defects are. We're cutting cords. We're getting rid of the people, places, and things that no longer serve us. We're cleaning up house. We're surrounding ourselves with people that look just like us, that act just like us, that appreciate and value life and have morals just like we do. We've built and we've created this amazing life for ourselves. And a lot of people are like, okay, I'm healed. I'm all ready. I'm all set. And they jump out there and they begin to date. And which is fine, right? It's fine. But your heart and your energy source, it may not be ready for another hurt just yet. And it takes some time to get yourself all healed up all over again. And it takes work. We forget that the whole purpose and the whole reason of our existence is for humanity. A lot of us just have sex on the brain a million times throughout the day. I gotta be in a relationship. I can't be by myself. I gotta be physical with someone. I can't be by myself. I can't just be. Well, if you're feeling that way, then that means that your sacral chakra is all out of whack. Some of your heart chakra is out of whack. Some of your chakras are out of whack. So you need to get your chakras in line and spinning properly before you go and bring that energy on to someone else. Because you're leaving yourself wide open to be hurt. Even just because someone wears a head wrap and an ankh does not mean that they're spiritual. Just because a brother is walking around with a really cool dashiki on and he talks all the talk, hey queen, does not make him spiritual. It's more to it than just that. And once you are really, really connecting to your spiritual guides and to source, when you're really, really connecting, then you're able to use your intuition and your judgment, and you're able to trust yourself. So you're protecting yourself. You can smell a player and you can smell a gold digger from miles and miles away. Okay? Let's take a look at the big picture. For every issue that we have while we're doing our shadow work, the person who we're bringing into our life, the person who we are attracted to and want to start this relationship with, they might not have even scratched the surface on their shadow work. So these may be one of the questions that you ask when you first are beginning to date someone or meet someone. Have you done your shadow work? What are your character defects? What are your flaws? You need to know all of this information, because if you have gone through, let's say, a divorce or a breakup, and you've gone through the divorce and the breakup, and you have children together, but you're completely over this person. You've worked out arrangements on who's going to pick up the kids, who gets the kids on holidays and things like that. That's very distracting. Please stop doing that. Thank you. Yeah, you. But when you make you got to make a decision on who's going to pick up the kids and who's going to drop the kids off and who's going to keep the kids on the holidays, and you're all through this. This is all behind you. But you meet this brand new person who has baby mama drama, in air quotes. And this person is still in it. They're still in turmoil and conflict. They haven't cut the cords yet of their former significant other, their wife or their, and this is male or female. They're not done yet. And you're all healed and you're all moving on. So maybe you don't want to bring that into your life just yet. That's a lot of stress. That's a lot of energy to deal with, So going back to that beginning, where I said, do your relationship research. Do you want someone that's the reflection of you, and then a reflection of you being on the same spiritual level that you're on, the same balance that you're on? That's something for you to think about, So we are just scratching the surface on love, sex, and spirituality, the dangers of dating during your first year of spiritual awakening, during your first year of opening your third eye. So now we are about to get into the meat of it all, right? What you guys wanted last week. We are going to get into energy cords. We're going to get into energy vampires. We're going to get into celibacy and some other things. So thank you for spending time with me this morning, live right here on the Win DC Radio app and YouTube channel. I'm your host for today, Azur Netarugaya, and you are watching Goddess of the Nile radio show. Clear your spaces, sage your spaces, sage your spaces. That's a tongue twister. And get your mind ready to receive this message, to receive this learning. We'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to Goddess of the Nile Radio, live right here on the Win DC Radio app and YouTube channel. It's your girl Azur Netarugaya, and here we are. Why didn't I talk today? What's going on with me today? Here we are together. I don't know what's going on with me. I cannot talk today. I need to think about that. Maybe I need to talk about why I can't talk today. I did not get any sleep last night. I literally did not. I have this neighbor that I cannot stand. And he has these pit bull puppies, and he's just disgusting and gross. And the puppies all night long were just wailing all night long. And I am an animal lover, so it just was breaking my heart to hear these poor puppies just screaming and crying all night. It just was breaking my heart, and I didn't get any rest. But you know what? This leads right into my topic for the day, right? Not for the day, but just my topic for right now, because we're talking about the dangers of dating during your first year of spirituality. And my neighbor is definitely one of these. Do you guys out there, do you guys know of anyone that's an energy vampire? Yeah, they exist. They're real. They are definitely real. You guys are probably like, what is an energy vampire, Azur? Well, the universe we live in is based off of balance. So happy people have to make miserable people happy. And miserable people try their best to make happy people miserable. That's just the way that the ball bounces, G. Some people get depressed when they go into a busy city. Like for me, for example, I stay out of Washington, D.C. I was already pulling back from Washington, D.C. I live in Maryland, and this is sort of a tri-state with Maryland, D.C., and Virginia. So I used to go in Washington, D.C. all the time, and now, I don't go in at all. Especially with Trump being in office. I am still employed. I'm still in the matrix, and my employer, they're having discussions about moving to Washington, D.C. And I'm like, well, when you make that move, I will not be going, because this very busy city, it's full of people that are stressed. It's full of stressed people. There's a lot of mental illness. And by mental illness, I'm talking about people that are the owners of $1 million homes, but can step over a homeless person in a heartbeat. You know, these people, they prey on young children that are less fortunate than them. You know, a lot of sex trafficking goes on in Washington, D.C. You know, a lot of unsolved murders. A lot of people don't know this, but there's a lot of organ harvesting that goes on in Washington, D.C. Yeah, do your research. So I don't go there. So Washington, D.C. is a city, but for me, it's one great big pit of energy vampires, and I stay away. But an energy vampire is usually someone, right? Like let's get to the person. An energy vampire is usually someone that has a charismatic like behavior or a charismatic energy. And for some reason, when you leave this person, you feel really, really tired. You are always around this person, and you know, because you're attracted to them, of course, they're very charming, but when you leave them, like your energy is on zero. An energy vampire is someone who steals our energy consciously or unconsciously. Have you ever walked into a room and was fully energized, you're feeling good, but someone in that room was sad, and then all of a sudden you felt sad too? Like, aw. You were all excited about your job promotion, and you walk through the door and you're like, oh my God, I got this. Aww. Because the person is sitting at their table or their desk on the couch, and they're just looking like they're getting ready to cry. All the time though. You can never share your good news with this person. An energy vampire is someone that is always playing the victim. They come to you complaining all the time, but never come to you with any solutions to their situation. An energy vampire just takes from you and does not offer you anything. All they do is take. They need $1. They need $20. They need their rent paid. They need their mortgage paid. They just need, right? And you're in the beginning stages of your spirituality where you need a lot. You need a lot of support as you're developing and growing within your spirituality. You need a lot of support. So if you have someone around you that's taking your energy, taking your tools and your finances and just taking your resources, right? Can you deal with that your first year of walking your spiritual walk? You know, are you ready to set boundaries? Because energy vampires always seem to be the people that dump on you. They're always full of negative conversation, not taking into consideration your time. That's what they do. Are you ready for that? First thing in the morning, as soon as you wake up, you're listening to your manifestation mantra, right? You got Goddess of the Now radio playing and you're feeling good. And then here comes your new girlfriend calling you up first thing in the morning, dumping all of their issues on you. You know, it happens. It definitely happens. And then sometimes when you're around energy vampires, you're not being yourself. An energy vampire talks about themselves all the time and does not allow for you to be yourself 100%. I have more information on energy vampires, and this is what you definitely need to look out for during your first year of spiritually dating someone. So we're trying to, get back on time and get back on schedule. So I'm going to take another quick break and we'll be right back. Thanks for listening. Hey guys, welcome to Goddess of the Now Radio, live right here on the Win DC Radio app and YouTube channel. I feel like I always feel like there should be an audience like clapping for me when I say that, because this is definitely a blessing. This is a blessing to be here with you guys and to talk to you guys. Now that we've got all the sponsors out the way, right? All the commercials out the way, the music's out the way, you know, because that was like my main concern. I couldn't really focus on two things at once. We was trying to get that all out the way so I could just sit here and just be with you guys. So I could just sit here and just be with you guys and talk about the dangers of dating during your first year of spiritual awakening. Because this stuff is serious. You're out here getting to know about incense and crystals and Palo Santo and Reiki and Kundalini, chakras. You're starting to know about your divine parents and all this really cool stuff about yourselves. You know, but you know, and you begin to get out into the world and you're single or you're newly single because you were removing the people, places, and things that no longer serve you. So you're creating this world, you're creating this environment for yourself, which is amazing. It's exciting. And you're ready to find a partner. Because some of us were given the assignment of just simply loving during this lifetime. I'm one of those people. So we have to know about the dangers of dating during our first year of spiritual awakening. We got to know about these things because we don't want to, you know, do all this cleaning house and getting rid of all this stuff and healing from all of this stuff just to stay in this cycle of hurt, you know? So one of the things that we as newbies that we have to look out for is energy vampires. Energy vamps is what some people call them, right? And in the first part of the show, I got into what some of those are, you know, some of the characteristics of an energy vampire. But I have more. Oh, yes, there's more. Yes, yes, yes. Because what's going to start happening, right, during your spiritual awakening, and once you start doing your spiritual baths, and once you start, you know, really, really beginning to raise your vibrations, when you really, really begin to be comfortable in your own skin, things begin to happen. And one of these things that will begin to happen to you is you will begin to attract sad people. So there's a saying, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe. And that is true. Your vibe will attract people that are here to serve you and uplift you and love all up on you. But it'll also attract people that are unable to love up on themselves. Your vibe will attract people who will need you in order for them to survive. Okay? So if you are really happy, sad people will definitely be attracted to you. Many alchemists, right? So some of us spiritual people are alchemists. Many alchemists have figured out how to avoid having their energy drained. They are actually changing the environment, or they have learned how to get rid of the negative energy that surrounds them. They have learned how to shield themselves. Okay? So if you're in the beginning stages of your spirituality and you have not figured out how to shield yourself from negative energy or how to protect yourself from negative energy, then you probably want to stay in your little bubble, keep your feelings and your emotions and your energy to yourself as you begin to go through your spiritual awakening, okay? You're not ready yet, okay? You have to be conscious, right? And you have to learn how to take responsibility for your actions and take responsibility of your energy. You aren't ready to get out there and date just yet if you haven't reclaimed your power. If you haven't reclaimed your power, you can't date yet. You shouldn't be out there dating anyone. You have to know that it is your choice to live in your truth. You can't change your truth to fit into someone else's box. If you're still doing that during your spiritual awakening, you may not be ready to date just yet. You got to reclaim your power. You got to know and be comfortable with who you are. You also have to learn to balance your own energy. This is a little tricky, but you got to learn how to do this. You have to learn how to balance your own energy in order to make conscious decisions on what kind of energies you want in your life. 21-day chakra challenge. We do it in Yeshua's Lightworkers because we're learning how to balance our chakras. So once you go through a different chakra every day, you'll discover when one of them is off balance, and you'll know how to get that back in line. Or maybe every day when you do a morning meditation, you do a self-inventory. And during your self-inventory, you know you have an attitude, right? So you know your mission for today is to either start over or correct that attitude right away or whatever. But balance yourself out, right? And once you balance yourself out and your chakras are aligned and they're spinning perfectly, once you've balanced out who you are in this universe and in this planet, then you're ready to make the decisions on what kind of energies you want in your life. Do you want high vibrational energies in your life? Do you want chill, mellow energies in your life? Or do you want someone do you just want to be a platter for people to come and feed off of you? You know, you're just giving your energy out freely. You don't care. You're good. You know, is that the kind of energy that you want in your life? So before you get out there and start dating during your first year of spirituality, you know, do an inventory on yourself. Have you began to learn how to balance your energies, you know? You also want to make sure your environment lifts you higher. That's another thing you want to make sure as you begin to date during your spiritual awakening. You want to make sure that the person who you're with is taking you to places that ascends you, that lifts your vibrations to another level. Because if your new partner or someone you're dating, right, is taking you somewhere that's very low vibrational, like maybe to this really weird nightclub, or maybe around these people that are very like snooty booties and they're not open, they're very low vibrational, you may not want to be around that person. So you want to be around someone that takes you to places that will serve you. You know, if she wants you to go to a meditation party, right? Shout out to Lionsgate, you know, wants to take you to a Lionsgate meditation meetup or get together. That's something that will raise your vibrations to a high level. So she might be a good catch for you, you know? So that's something for you to think about. Now we got to talk about, during our first year of spiritual awakening, there's another thing that we have to be on the lookout for. And we have to ask ourselves, are we ready for this? And I'm talking about spiritual predators. Spiritual predators. And guys, it can happen to you, but women, I'm telling you, it can definitely happen to us. It happens a lot to us. And it may happen to guys too. They just, you know, guys are private. They just don't like to come forward a lot about certain things. But there are certain spiritual leaders out there that pick up on what we like to call newbie energy. You know, so they know that you're new. They know that you're healing. They know that you're vulnerable. And they begin to prey on you. Okay? So what does a spiritual predator look like? Right? You know, Zoria, talk about these spiritual predators, but what should we be on the lookout for? Just everyone's against us? No, not everyone, but these are some signs of a spiritual predator, okay? A spiritual predator, they provoke you, right? They provoke you. So let me explain to what that is. So a spiritual predator they will force you into these difficult conversations, these difficult and challenging debates. Knowing that you're new in spirituality, they will cause for you to question every single thing that you believe. They'll do that. Now, you have to remember, because you're new in your spiritual walk, right? You have to remember that everything in this spiritual walk, in this spiritual journey, this is not like church. You know, it's not like the mosque. You don't have to go by a book. When you are a spiritual being, you go by what resonates with you, right? So if you feel like you want to do things a certain kind of way, or if you believe in Christ consciousness, You know, what a spiritual predator will do is make you question everything that you're learning. Make you question and second guess yourself and put yourself in a debate with them, knowing that they have more information or more access to the information than you do, causing for you to question your own judgment and causing for you to depend on them. You know, no longer are you thinking for yourself during your spiritual journey. You're solely depending on the spiritual leader for information. Well, they're doing that because they want that power and that control over you. Okay? So you have to be careful about that. You have to remember in the beginning of your spiritual walk that this is your journey. This is your individual journey. There is no right or wrong way to do this thing. It's not. If you feel like you need to celebrate the full moon, this is just an example, the full moon 3 days before the full moon actually takes place because that's how you feel, then that's what you do. We're all different. We all have different missions. We all come from different places. We're all made up of different kind of stuff. So the way that I may do something may be totally different from the way that you do it. I cannot tell you, and no one can tell you that what you're doing and the way that you're doing it is incorrect. Not when it comes to spirituality. It's all about how you feel, okay? Let's say that now that you're in your spiritual walk, that you're beginning to follow your intuition, or someone around you sees what's going on between you and this spiritual leader, and they say something to you. That happens sometimes, right? So let's use an example of you're going to this particular group that meets every Tuesday, and you're learning about, you're learning about Egypt, right? For lack of a better word. You're learning about Egypt. You go every Tuesday. And the person who's teaching you about Egypt is super smart, but seems to be spending a lot more time with you. You know, they ask you for your phone number. You know, you guys are talking and hanging out with each other. But it's becoming a little bit weird, and you kind of feel like, well, this is a little weird because the spiritual leader, Ray Ray's calling you at 10 o'clock at night to talk about, you know, Yeshua or talk about Haru at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock at night. And you're thinking this is a little weird, right? So someone around you begins to see what's going on, or maybe they know the pattern of this person, right? They know that you're also smitten. But and you're kind of smitten by all this attention from this really smart person. But you're unsure, right? So you begin to ask questions because your intuition is kicking in. And you begin to ask questions of the spiritual leader, like about their background, about their personal life, because they're asking all these questions about you. And they give you vague answers. Predators are so good at this. They give you vague answers. They rarely go into detail, often just telling you what you want to hear. I swear to God, they are so good at this. If you hear any inconclusive language, like things that don't make sense, do your own research. Do your own research, like ask people about this person, Google this person, do your own research about this spiritual leader. Don't settle for anyone's word, especially if you barely know them. So like if a spiritual leader is hitting on you from the beginning and calling you weird hours of the night to talk about Egypt, you know, and all of a sudden they have an interest in you, then you want to do your research. You want to ask other people. You want to kind of tell other people what's happening to see if this is a pattern of this person. If you dig deep enough, you'll find exactly what you're looking for, or you won't find anything at all. Don't think you're silly and don't think you're nosy for wanting to do an investigation on this person. Okay? Let's see, where are we? Okay. So now that you're beginning to walk in your own spiritual light, you're beginning to walk in your own spiritual journey, right? And now you're beginning to question this spiritual leader. You know, you have your own views and you begin to question your spiritual leader, or question certain behaviors of your spiritual leader. And they become very, very offensive. How dare you ask me that question? I am the leader of the world. You know, if that happens to you, that is a serious, serious red flag. Because you should be able to ask your spiritual leader anything that you want. Anything that you want, you should be able to ask your spiritual leader, okay? So that is a red flag. Okay? A spiritual predator will also often try to sway you towards some type of devotion or some type of verbal long-term commitment to them, right? So now they have you all in their web and they have you all wooed, and they're saying things to you like, let's get married. Don't you want to marry me? Don't you want to be with me? And you're like, but I just met you 2 weeks ago. What are you talking about? But they're forcing you into this commitment. And if you don't make this commitment with them, they're bringing up the fact that, well, aren't you spiritual? Don't you just go with the flow? You know, rules are for Christians. You know what I mean? They're trying to get some type of commitment from you right away. They may ask you to move in with them right away. They may ask for you to, maybe pay your phone bill right away. Some type of contractual agreement where they have some type of control over your life. So watch out for those free cars. Watch out for all this free stuff that they're just giving you and they don't even know you. That's what spiritual predators do, you know. And we're all thinking like the universe has given us this really amazing person, and all this person really is doing is preying on you. You know, you got to be on the lookout for that, especially during your first year of spiritual awakening, because your intuition is now being activated. But you're being so smitten by this person, so blinded by this person, that you're no longer trusting your intuition. And when you don't trust your intuition is shrinks and goes away. All that hard work for nothing, right? And this is another red flag. A spiritual predator usually always has like a cult or some type of following, some type of yes men. They're always surrounded by people who are yes, never telling them no, just always yes. And if someone tells them no, they're immediately like kicked out the group. You never see them again. This is a serious red flag. And I have to bring up something I saw yesterday on Facebook. One spiritual leader that I always get the EBGBs about. This spiritual leader, so his group, right, gave him a gift, some type of gift. So he said to them, you giving me a gift is like giving your ancestors an offering. I was like, what? I said, wait a minute. Let me read this again. And I read it again and it was like, yeah, thank you so much for my gift. You giving me a gift is like giving your ancestors an offering. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm reading too into, you know, maybe I'm reading too much into this. This is weird, right? And so I'm just going to leave that there because I'm still trying to process that, but it was really weird. Like, this dude totally gives me the EBGBs, and seeing that and reading that just confirmed it. And then, like, as I dig deeper, I'm trying to make it, what he said, make sense. But I know what my intuition feels like, and that guy is super creepy. So I'm glad I'm talking about spiritual predators today. So how do you protect yourself against spiritual predators? Because we need to know that, right? You got to trust your feelings and trust your intuition. You got to do that. You got to make an assessment of your own knowledge, right? So you got to do your own assessment. You got to do your own research, right? You got to ask questions and investigate. You have to do that. That's super important. Ouch, I just burnt myself. Ouch. Oh, it hurts. You also have to look for consistent qualities of good deeds and attitudes. You have to definitely do that. And you have to be mindful of what they're doing. You have to definitely be mindful of what they're doing, okay? So we're going to take a quick music break because I just burnt myself and it really hurts and I'm going to cry. But we're going to take a quick music break and we're going to talk about being celibate during your first year of spiritual awakening. I'm Azur Netarugaya and you are watching Goddess of the Now Radio live right here on the Win DC Radio app and YouTube channel. We'll be right back. Peace.
He has more thorns than a rose garden, but his tulips were made for mine. To the world, he's a dandelion. Every flower just needs some light. I told him to watch and see. In the right room with the
Hey guys, welcome back to Goddess of the Nile radio show, live right here on the Win DC radio app and YouTube channel. Thank you so much for being with me today. Today we are talking about love, sex, and spirituality. The dangers of dating during your first year of your spiritual awakening. We got into energy cords. We talked a lot about spiritual predators and what to be on the lookout for. But now we're going to talk about celibacy, because that's super important. During your first year of spiritual awakening, I feel as though it's important that you are celibate. Excuse me, I had a little burp. I'm always burping. I don't know what that's about. But I really do. I think it's important that you are celibate because, you know, as women, you know, speaking to my women that's out there, we have more than likely began to heal from traumas, from wound traumas. We began to heal from, you know, past relationships. You know, we got all that junk up. And now we're the best versions of ourselves. And men too. You know, men, you guys go through this too. Now we are the best versions of ourselves, and we're still trying to figure out who we are. And during this vulnerable state, because it is a very vulnerable state, during this state, it could be emotionally dangerous. It could be emotionally damaging if we get ourselves in a physical relationship before we're ready, you know? And a lot of people during our awakening, you know, that's around us may not understand our choices. They may not understand while we're choosing not to drink, while we're choosing not to do drugs, while we're choosing not to become physical anymore. You know, it's important that we lock ourselves down and we share our energy sources, our DNA with people who we really truly love, who we really truly have a connection with. It's when you're doing the first year of your spiritual awakening, you want your intimacy, you want your physical connection to be beautiful. You know, you want it to be beautiful. You want it to be lovely. And you don't want to have to keep explaining on every date with coffee or lasagna over your vegan meal. You don't want to have to keep explaining to people that you're celibate, you know, and your reasoning why. And to be honest, it's really no one's business. You know what I mean? It's your sacred information, and it should be kept sacred and to yourself. You know, but going back to the beginning of the show, that's one of the things that you are going to want to ask yourself. Do you want to date someone that is also celibate? It is a lot easier to date someone that is practicing celibacy like you are, because you don't have to worry about the pressures. You don't have to worry about this extreme high and the flutters of being in love, of falling in love. And then you have the pressure of giving yourself away to someone, giving away your DNA to someone that you don't really know that well. Intimacy is on a whole nother level when you're spiritual. It's on a whole nother level. You're reading about Tantra, you're studying Tantra, and this person doesn't have a clue. They just think you're breathing hard, and it's weird, you know? So your celibacy and making the decision to be celibate during your first year of spiritual growth is it's something you need to think about and really, really think about considering, okay? That leads me right into this next important topic, which is energy cords, or what some people may call soul ties, right? You're like, Azor, what is soul ties? The word soul ties means what it says. Soul ties. It's when two souls are joined together or knitted together to become one. It's very beautiful. It's a beautiful experience. In order to understand the subject of soul ties, you must firstly understand the nature of, you know, of who we are as human beings, right? What is a human being? I think you guys know that part, right? Some of us may agree that we all have a body, right? So spiritual folk, we call our bodies our avatar, right? And some of us, no matter what you believe in, right? But most of us can agree that there's a spirit or a soul that lives inside of our avatar or in our bodies, right? So you need to ask yourself, are you ready during the beginning stages of your spiritual journey? Are you ready to involve yourself in soul ties formed through sexual relations? Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Sex is not only physical, sex is also emotional and spiritual, which means that every part of you is involved when you are with someone. Remember what I said, man and woman is spirit, right? We're spirits here. We just have, our soul lives in the body. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say, but we're spirits. And we're living inside of a body, right? We're living inside of these avatars. Therefore, your spirit or your soul, your mind, emotions, and your will, right? Your mind and your emotions and your will and your body and your avatar, they're all involved. They're all working together, right? That's where the knitting of souls take place. As your body is connected to the person you're with, so are your souls and your spirits. Are you ready to become one with the person you're sleeping with? Are you ready? So just think about it. You go clubbing and partying, you're turning up. Woo! Ooh, that was loud. But you're at the club, right? You're having a good time. And you decide to go home with Judy, or Judy decides to go home with Ray Ray. And, they get down with the get down. And now Ray Ray's souls and spirits is all on Judy, and Judy's souls and spirits is all on Ray Ray. And then they go off to Never Never Land. That's where Ray Ray goes. And Judy goes to, who knows, she goes to Sea Pleasant, Maryland. And they never see each other again. And they just literally exchange souls and spirits, right? Are you ready for that? Have you ever met someone who was in an abusive relationship, or they may be in one? Let's say maybe their partner beats them every day and perhaps had even tried to kill them a couple of times. But instead of leaving that person, it seems that they just can't. It's like they're in an invisible magnet of some kind that keeps on drawing that person back to their abusive partner. And this could be physical abuse or mental abuse, or the partner that doesn't work or do anything around the house. Like this person is just carrying the whole weight of the family. And let's say that this person finally does make the decision to leave them, right? Oh, I'm leaving Joe. I'm leaving Ray Ray. I'm never going back to Ray Ray. Ray Ray says, I'm never going back to Judy. But for some reason they can't seem to stay away. And if they do leave them, they can't seem to stay away for very long. It makes no sense, but it seems like they keep on going back for more abuse, more heartache. Even if this is a dangerous situation, even if being in this relationship is killing their spirit. Why do you guys think that happens? Yeah, you're right. It's soul ties. It's energy cords. It's energy attachments. Dangers of soul ties. Let's talk about the dangers of soul ties. The dangers of soul ties is not only that it's hard to get out of an abusive relationship, or, that you can't forget about your ex-lover, but it's because they can cause a lot of problems. Soul ties can not only damage your marriage, right? So let's say you run off and get married, but you're still attached to a former lover. Or let's say that you're married and you're dipping off on your wife or your husband. You're forming soul ties with these people. Soul ties are formed through sexual relations. And having these relationships, these sexual relationships with people, can bring curses and problems that can affect your personal success. This is true. Have you ever seen a spiritual teacher or someone that was all into spirituality? Have you ever seen this person, really, really grinding? And, every time you go on their social media pages, they're grinding, they're putting up the work. Every time you see them, what are you doing, Keisha? I'm grinding. But then they get involved in this relationship, right? First year in their spirituality, they get involved in this relationship. And next thing you know, they're not doing Reiki anymore. They're not doing Kundalini. They're not building their business. They're not focusing on their life purpose anymore. They're all into this relationship. They just can't get enough, right? They're taking the energy that was once on their life person and they're putting it all into this relationship, you know? You know people like that? And then next thing you know, you begin to see their new business crumble. You're beginning to see everything in their life that they've built for themselves crumble, right? They're getting into arguments on the job. They're not getting along well with their family. You know, they're losing opportunities minute by minute, day by day, right? What is going on with Ray Ray? What's going on with Judy? Judy was on the top of the mountain, and now, honey, she is down there in the valley with us. What is happening? Come. You see, when you sleep with someone, you don't only share your bodies, but you also share whatever is in that person's life. Let me say this again for my nosebleeders. When you sleep with someone, you don't only share your bodies, but you also share whatever is in that person's life. This includes their cursings and their blessings. So you want to be with someone that's blessed, okay? Not someone that's having a hard time. If you sleep with someone who is followed by bad lucks or who's from a family full of generational cursings, all of that is going to be transferred to you. Do you hear me? All of that is going to be transferred to you. I remember one time I was dating this guy who used to always get flat tires. And then I started to get flat tires. Like, this is real, y'all. This is really real. You got to do your relationship research. Okay? Ask those hard questions. Pay attention. And ask yourself, most importantly, are you ready for this? If you sleep with someone who is followed by bad lucks, right? If you sleep with someone who has slept with more than one partner, the danger in that is you are also sleeping with all of these people he or she has slept with before you or during you, right? So this goes out to my people who are like, I'm into polygamy, woohoo. Well, you are in the danger of all types of stuff, if that's what you're into. Not only that, but you also take whatever is going on in those people's lives. So if the people are living like a very dark and dangerous life or whatever, you're taking on all that energy too. This means if you are in celibacy or if you are a virgin, for example, and you go and you sleep with a guy who's been with 20 women, well, you're a virgin, but you're like literally sleeping with those 20 people too. You're taking on their energies. You're taking on their generational curses. You're taking on their bad luck. You're taking all of this to 20 people. Right? This is what you're doing. Unless that person has broke the energy cords from those individuals and those past lovers, then it's all being transferred to you. You got to do your spiritual relationship research, guys. I'm telling you. So a lot of us out here, you know, during our spiritual walk, we're counting bodies, right? So Ray Ray meets a girl and she's pretty and she's like, well, you know, Judy, how many guys have you slept with? And Judy's like, 4. You know what I'm saying? So, Ray Ray's counting Judy's bodies, but what Ray Ray doesn't know is how many have them for. How many guys have those 4 people have been with? The real question that Ray Ray should be asking Judy is, has she done a release bath? Has she done a spiritual release bath and cut the cords, from her past lovers? And Judy needs to ask Ray Ray the same. You want to be with someone that has a clean slate. You want to be with someone that is healing themselves, making sure that they're on 100 before they're involved in your life. You don't want to take on someone else's curses, someone else's bad energy, someone else's bad luck. Not after all the work that you've gone through. You don't want to do that. You got to do your spiritual relationship research, okay? Getting into a physical relationship during your first year of spirituality can bring a lot of complications. These are complications we don't need in our lives. Being physical with someone is not evil. So Azor's not all like, you're evil, you're bad, you're dirty. I'm not saying any of that. But it is bad for us, right? Us newbies. It's bad for us. And we are not mentally and spiritually prepared for the energy that it can bring. Okay? There you have it. All in a nutshell. You guys asked for it. There you have it. The dangers of dating during the first year of your spiritual awakening. I gave you guys some tips last week, but I'm going to give you some more, right? I'm going to really dig into those tips, okay? So get ready. Here they go. Number 1, don't take anyone too seriously. It's okay to meet people, but just be friends. This is so important. Just be friends. And if the person feels like they're your twin flames, I'm not into twin flames, but if someone feels like you're like, oh my God, you're my soulmate, that's fine. I'm glad I'm your soulmate. That's awesome. I love your energy. But let's just be friends. It's important that you just be friends. Take the time to get to know the person. Take the time to get to know their friends, their family. Take the time to listen to them and really, really dig in deep to who this person is. And most importantly, you want to pay attention to where this person is on their spiritual journey. It's super important. Number 2, let the person know right away what you are into. Give them access to your social media pages and take the time to look into theirs. Share with them that you like crystals. Share with them, that you love family. Share with them that you're this spiritual being. I know for me, I love spirituality so much. It's all that I can talk about. So I can't turn it off. I'm constantly researching. I'm a huge nerd and I'm always researching. So I can't turn this stuff off. But for you guys, you may be in the beginning stages of your spirituality, or you may be so used to hiding it from people. Well, now is the time to be authentically you, the best version of you. Share who you are, share what you're into, share what you're doing. And the one thing about spirituality is when you're walking the walk, you're talking the talk without hesitation. So if you are being the best authentic version of you and you come across someone who's like, oh, I'm into Lord Ganesh too, and you begin to talk about Lord Ganesh and they don't know what the hell you're talking about, then that tells you right there what level of spirituality that they're on, if they are on any, Number 3, ask the hard questions and listen. If your intuition is screaming at you, and your intuition, as you begin to get in spirituality, I'm telling you, the numbers will start jumping at you. Your gut will start hurting and you feel sick and like all this stuff will start happening because you'll have these questions that are in your mind that your spirit guides are screaming at you to ask. And you're like, you know what? Are you still humping on your baby mama? Like it'll come out just like that in raw form sometimes, but never be afraid to ask those hard questions. And when you ask them, you need to listen. You need to listen with your third eye. Does that make sense? You need to listen to your third eye. With your third eye. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. Because if you are afraid to ask the hard questions, then that means you're not being the authentic version of yourself. You're being fake and phony. And the whole purpose of this spiritual growth, right, is so you can be the best version of you. Regain your power. Walk in your truth. Ask those hard, difficult questions. If it makes the person uncomfortable, then that's a red flag. they're not living their true, authentic selves. Because when you are living your true, authentic self, there is no question that will disturb this groove. True story. Number 4, continue along your path. Do not give up your life purpose for love. And this is so real, guys. If you are building a crystal shop from the ground up, if you're like me and you're building this media, powerhouse, don't stop that because you done fell in love with someone. Don't stop that because you've just met someone. You keep on building. You keep on building one brick at a time. Hey, boo. How you doing? You're so cute. And you're still building. You don't stop. Because if that person is really into you, they will unconsciously contribute to what you're building. And you will unconsciously contribute to what they're building. And you guys will begin to build your own empires, right? As friends. And then when you're ready to date one another, and then you're ready to take it to a whole nother level, you got your empire, he has his empire, and you guys have this huge village together, right? So continue along your path. That goes back to being the authentic version of you. Number 5, bring this person into your world and you go into theirs. So if you have a meditation group that you go to on Wednesdays, bring that person. Bring that person along. See how they can operate in your world. Do they belong in your world? Are they uncomfortable? Are they weirded out? And you go into theirs. If you aren't a drinker or a smoker and you go into their world and that's all that him and his buddies are doing, then that may not be a good fit for you. Nah, I'm good. I'm going to stay home. Remember how I told you guys in the beginning that your new partner should take you to a higher level of ascension, a higher level of vibrations? So if he's taking you somewhere that's low vibrational, if she's taking you somewhere that's low vibrational, where you have to put in this energy work in order to survive in this environment, then, that may not be the one for you, So the whole purpose of bringing them into your world is seeing if they can vibrate to the level that you're on and go into theirs to see, just to check around and see if that they're indulging in high vibrational activities. Okay. Number 6, be cautious of exchanging sexual energies. We talked about this during your healing phases. Beware of the 3-day rule after cord cutting. This is very important. So you're meeting someone. So Ray, you meet this girl, right? And you're really into her. She's really beautiful. But you still have some attachments to your last relationship. So you decided to do a releasing bath. You decided to give the pain and the hurt away to the universe, right? And, this beautiful this beautiful woman wants to hang out with you, get down with you, right? Get down with the get down, but you're still healing from the releasing of that hurt and that pain. Well, you might want to stay away from even communicating with the beautiful young lady, having some deep communications with her, affectionate things going on with her while you're healing. It's just a way for you to protect yourself and make sure that you are being the authentic version of you. Number 7, lastly, lucky number 7. If you exchange energies, do what you can to clear yourself. So if you're exchanging energies with someone, you definitely want to make sure that you take your spiritual bath when it's all said and done. If you're a woman, you want to make sure you use a yoni egg. You want to make sure you're clearing your energy. You want to make sure you're good to go, so that way no one's leaving anything behind, generational curses, spirits, all that kind of stuff, But, have fun. That's the most important thing about this dating process and this whole creating the life of your dreams, the life that you always wanted. This is a time for you to meet someone that you have cleaned yourself up for. I know Azor, me, I know I have done some hard work, some heavy lifting when it comes to healing. And people who are in my, in my circle, and people who are a part of my Facebook group, Yeshua's Lightworkers, they have seen my growth. Indigo 11 Tribe, they've seen my growth. Day one, all of my videos are there. They have seen me put myself back together, piece by piece by piece. And I am becoming the best version of myself for the person who's just out there waiting on me. Hey, boo. I'm coming. And it's super important that you are your authentic version of yourself. That's super important. You can't, the one thing about being spiritual is that you're never giving up on love. You're never giving up on opportunities. You're just focused now. That's all. You're focused. And you're protecting yourself. You're protecting yourself from that spiral, those lessons that you keep learning, or the universe keeps giving you over and over and over and over and over again. You're just protecting yourself. That's all. And if no one can understand that you're protecting yourself, then that's their problem. That's not your problem. If no one can understand and accept you for who you are today, head wraps, crystals, unks, and all, that's shikis. If no one can accept that, if no one can love you for you, then they don't need to be around you. We got to watch out for energy vampires. We got to watch out for these people who come into our lives and want to suck our energy, want to take it all for themselves. When you're in a new relationship, your friends, right? Let's just talk about friendships. Your friends, the people that serve you, you should be giving energy to them, and they should positive energy, and they should be giving positive energy back to you. It should be a positive energy exchange. So that way you guys can work together for your life purpose and literally heal and touch and bless the world, right? It's also important that, that you protect yourself against spiritual predators. The predators are out there. People who want to take all your money. People that want to turn you into some type of sex object or sex slave, and in exchange, you're the first lady of spirituality or something weird, which is very flattering, right? It's very flattering, especially for women. Women love men in power. We do. We love men in power. We love men in power, and we live in this fantasy world sometimes. And men do too. Men love women in power. But we have to keep ourselves protected, because we can be, smitten by this predator, and we could be actually missing the person that is there for us, our authentic version of ourselves, right? And then we got to talk about, celibacy and soul cords and everything. We got to talk about that, exchanging that and keeping our energy clean and keeping our vibrations high. That's important. So thank you guys for being here today, and thank you for your patience. I really appreciate it. That is all I have when it comes to, love, sex, and spirituality part 2. So I hope you guys are fully satisfied. And I have some time left over, and I just want to talk, if that's okay with you guys. Just want to talk to you guys. Because I'm getting a channel. And I do this sometimes. Don't be afraid to fly. Do not be afraid to spread your wings and fly. Sometimes when you're flying, the air gets very thin and you get headaches. Or you ask yourself, do I really want to do this? But don't be afraid to fly. It's okay. And as we do our spiritual walk, and as we go through our spiritual walk, we're going to begin to change. I'm sorry, guys. I have to remove that background music from the list. That is so annoying. That Jamaican part drives me nuts. It's always every time I want to get all deep and serious with you guys, the little Jamaican man comes on. But that's not going to stop me from sharing this message with you. I need you guys to have the courage to be the authentic version of you. I need you guys to have the courage to step away from the norm, step outside of the box, and be the best version of you. Because during the spiritual walk and during the spiritual journey, you are going to begin to change. And you have to accept that change, and you have to just go with the flow and know that your spiritual guides are working for you. And no matter what the appearances are, the universe is always going to provide in your favor. You guys have to know that. You have to trust that. You have to trust in yourself, and you have to protect yourself and your energy. I know sometimes it gets overwhelming. It's okay to give yourself permission to take a break, but it's all for the good. It's all for the goodness of mankind. It's all for the goodness of you. So thank you so much for your time today. Thank you so much for being here with me, for sitting with me. I am Azura Neturugaya, your host. Thank you for tuning in to Goddess of the Nile Radio, live right here on the Win DC Radio app and YouTube channel. You can catch me live right here each and every Sunday from 11 o'clock a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The app is free, free 99. Download it. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this video. Make sure you do that if you're watching me on YouTube. For a shorter version of this video, you can look for Goddess of the Nile Radio. You can search for it on YouTube, and a shorter version will be posted on Tuesday. I love you guys with all of my heart, with all of my being. You have the ability to be all that you can be. You have the ability to find love that is in your favor, to find love that supports you, that feels good, and that can last this very lifetime and beyond. Thank you so much for your time today. I know I said that a million times, but that's how much I appreciate and love you all. Reach out and touch someone. Reach out and love someone. Love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, how are you going to love somebody? Shout out to RuPaul. I think that's where I got that from. Anywho, I am going to dance in the sunshine, and I am going to celebrate in the rain. I'm your host, Azura Neturugaya. I'll see you guys next week. I'm out. Peace.